We tend to look through language and not realize how much power language has. Words can be like weapons of destruction. It takes so much effort and the cooperation of so many people to build something, and so little effort of so few to tear it down. The key to conversation at work is flexibility and understanding how what you say might be perceived by others. To say that a person feels listened to means a lot more than just their ideas get heard. It's a sign of respect. It makes people feel valued. Treating people the same is not equal treatment if they are not the same. We all know we are unique individuals, but we tend to see others as representatives of groups. For most women, the language of conversation is primarily a language of rapport, a way of establishing connections and negotiating relationships. Communication is a continual balancing act, juggling the conflicting needs for intimacy and independence. To survive in the world, we have to act in concert with others, but to survive as ourselves, rather than simply as cogs in a wheel, we have to act alone. It can be the best of relationships and the worst of relationships often at the same time. The bond between a mother and daughter is one of the strongest, but it's also among the most complicated. Part of the reason images of women in positions of authority are marked by their gender is that the very notion of authority is associated with maleness. Some days you just want to get dressed and go about your business, but if you're a woman, you can't, because there is no unmarked woman. The desire for freedom and independence becomes more of an issue for many men in relationships, whereas interdependence and connection become more of an issue for many women. Saying that men talk about baseball in order to avoid talking about their feelings is the same as saying that women talk about their feelings in order to avoid talking about baseball. The chivalrous man who holds a door open or signals a woman to go ahead of him when he's driving is negotiating both status and connection. While boys create connections through friendly competition, girls create connections by downplaying competition and focusing on similarities. If women are often frustrated because men do not respond to their troubles by offering matching troubles, men are often frustrated because women do. Many men honestly do not know what women want, and women honestly do not know why men find what they want so hard to comprehend and deliver. Critiquing relieves you of the responsibility of doing integrative thinking. Many women feel it is natural to consult with their partners at every turn, while many men automatically make more decisions without consulting their partners. A perfectly tuned conversation is a vision of sanity, a ratification of one's way of being human and one's way in the world. Though all humans need both intimacy and independence, women tend to focus on the first and men on the second. It is as if their lifeblood ran in different directions. Girls are not accustomed to jockeying for status in an obvious way. They are more concerned that they be liked. When people realize that in the long run you may be turning off the audiences more, even though they will look temporarily in the end, they turn away. We really need to develop other metaphors and not talk about two sides, but talk about all sides. We all want, above all, to be heard. We want to be understood, heard for what we think we are saying, for what we know we meant. Public discourse requires making an argument for a point of view, not having an argument as in having a fight. When we think we are using language, language is using us. At every age, the girls and women sit closer to each other and look at each other directly. At every age, the boys and men sit at angles to each other, in one case, almost parallel, and never look directly into each other's faces. But if you parry individuals' points, a negative and defensive enterprise, you never step back and actively imagine a world in which a different system of ideas could be true, a positive act. In an ongoing relationship, each current criticism packs the punches of all the others that have gone before. It's important to remember that others' ways of talking to you are partly a reaction to your style, just as your style with them is partly a reaction to their style with you. Often, focusing on the words spoken precludes figuring out what sparked a crisis, because the culprits are not words but tone of voice, intonation, and unstated implications and assumptions. All conversation, in addition to whatever else it does, displays and asks for recognition of our competence. Life is a matter of dealing with other people in little matters and cataclysmic ones, and that means a series of conversations. One reason it's so difficult to decide what to say became immediately clear. Comments and questions that some appreciated were not appreciated by others. Second, there is a payoff in self-defense. If what we want or think does not meet with a positive response, we can take it back or claim, perhaps sincerely, that that's not what we meant. For girls, talk is the glue that holds relationships together. Boys' relationships are held together primarily by activities, doing things together, or talking about activities, such as sports or later, politics. If women resent men's tendency to offer solutions to problems, men complain about women's refusal to take action to solve the problems. So there it is. Boys and girls grow up in different worlds, but we think we're in the same one. So we judge each other's behavior by the standards of our own. Women and men would both do well to learn strategies more typically used by members of the other group, not to switch over entirely, but to have more strategies at their disposal. If I wrote, after delivering the acceptance speech, the candidate fainted, you would know I was talking about a woman. Men do not faint, they pass out. It is the interaction of the two styles, his withdrawal and her insistence that he tell her what she did wrong, that is devastating to both. The allure of love is to have someone who knows you so well that you don't have to explain yourself. It is the promise of someone who cares enough about you to protect you against the world of strangers who do not wish you well. Deborah Frances Tannen, born June 7, 1945. Deborah graduated from Hunter College High School and completed her undergraduate studies at Harper College, now part of Binghamton University, with a B in English Literature. Deborah went on to earn a master's in English Literature at Wayne State University. Later, she continued her academic studies at UC Berkeley, earning an MAPRA and a PhD in Linguistics 1979 with a dissertation entitled Processes and Consequences of Conversational Style. She took up a position at Georgetown in 1979 and subsequently became a distinguished university professor in linguistics there. Deborah Tannen is an American author and professor of linguistics at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. Best known as the author of You Just Don't Understand, she has been a McGraw Distinguished Lecturer at Princeton University and was a fellow at the Center for Advanced Study in the Behavioral Sciences following a term in residence at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, NJ. Deborah is the author of 13 books, including That's Not What I Meant and You Just Don't Understand, the latter of which spent 4 years on the New York Times bestsellers list, including 8 consecutive months at #1. She is also a frequent contributor to the New York Times, The Washington Post, The Atlantic, and Time magazine, among other publications.